right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the AtScale's live session. And we have some a special guest today. So I'm Dave Mariani. I'm CTO and co-founder of AtScale. And we have Gaurav Rao, who is the GM of our machine learning business. So he's our AI expert on staff and runs that side of the business. And special guest is the father of the data warehouse, one of my favorite people in data, actually my favorite person in data, which is Bill Inmon. So Bill Inmon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave.
Great. So today we're going to be talking about really about textual analytics. Bill has been doing some amazing work in that. I'm going to talk about how textual analytics can be used to really make a whole nother set of what was previously data that was inaccessible or really unused, available for analysis and machine learning. And then I also want to ask you about your new book on the subject, Bill, called about textual analytics. You want to talk a little bit about what that book is and what it's all about?
Certainly, Dave. We have a new book out, and you're one of the authors of it, called Text Analytics Simplified. What we have done is to be able to take NLP and turn NLP from a study of language into a commercialized product. And the book shows how you can do NLP in a simple, inexpensive, and fast fashion. And that's everything that NLP is not. NLP is not simple, it is not inexpensive, and it is not fast. And in addition, with NLP, you require a small army of data scientists. So what we've done is created a product for the world that is able to take text and now draw out of text the important things that are there so that you can display them to the world. The book is for free. It doesn't cost anything, and anybody can get it. It's an ebook, and you can get it over the internet, and you can get it by going to www.forestrimtech.com. And in case let me repeat that, www.forest.tech.com, and look for ebook, and you will we have to know who to send the book to, so you have to tell us a little bit about yourself, but you will receive a free copy over the internet.
Yeah, it's a really great book. So I would really encourage you to go and get it. So Bill, what drove the inspiration to really launch, not just write the book, but also launch in this new area, because it's something that has been really underserved up until now?
Well, Dave, a long time ago, I was doing data warehouse, and one day I sat down and scratched my head and ask myself the question: when you look at information in the corporation, really and truly, the only information that finds its way into decision making is structured information. Now, there's nothing wrong with structured information, but if all you look at is structured information, you're missing the major portion of what's going on in the corporation. There is a wealth of information in the corporation that never gets looked at, and that's a shame. And for years and years, we have been trying to use NLP. In fact, I'll tell you how old NLP is. I remember studying NLP when I was in college, and I'm not going to tell you how long ago I was in college, but it was a long time ago. And so NLP is fine for studying language. And if what you want to do is study language, then listen, NLP is something we fully and highly recommend. But if you want to treat language and text commercially, to where you don't have to spend a huge amount of effort dealing with text, then I recommend that you look at something called textual ETL, and it's the way in which an organization can avail themselves of the textual information that goes through their corporation.
I think
Yeah,
Bill. Go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
I was just going to say that we've done some joint demos together where you took medical records, and medical records are as free-form text as you can imagine, and turned that into really usable information. So you took something that was free-form text, and you actually took it from unstructured and actually made it structured enough that you could then do analysis on it, which was really a gold and amazing.
And you know, Dave, it's kind of interesting. Medical records were designed for one doctor and one patient in the treatment, and they work fine for that. They really and truly are work fine for that. But if you want to look at 10,000 patients all at once, you can't do that with text. You've got to turn that text into a form that can be analyzed. And in this day and age of the pandemic, I think everybody recognizes the value of being able to look at 10,000 patients all at once. However, medical records are not the only thing that you can look at that are really interesting. Another thing that's really interesting is going out to the internet and finding out what people are saying about your corporation. You would be amazed at corporations that never go out to the internet and find out what people are saying about the company and their products. And there's a wealth of information out there on the internet that ought to be going into the corporation, but isn't. But all of that information is in the form of text. If you want to make your marketing department a smarter, better run place, then you need to go out to the internet and find out what people are saying. And all of that data out on the internet is in the form of text. You need to be able to read it, assimilate it, organize it, and put it into a form that can be analyzed. And those are just two cases. Now, they're important cases, but those are only two cases of how important text is in the corporation, and it's being ignored.
Yeah, I completely agree, Bill. I think you hit on a few key themes, one of them being use. And I think, you brought up some good use cases around NLP. And, in machine learning and AI, it's hard to ignore how hot NLP is. But going from thought to use is a big leap. And, we're starting to see more and more machine learning and AI about bigger models, more compute, which makes it harder to use, to your earlier point. And, I think if you could talk a little bit about how, enterprises can use arguably one of the biggest investments they've already made around their structured data, right, around a database and a warehouse, how they can start to use that to augment that structured data and analytics now with semi-structured and potentially unstructured text. I think that'd be incredibly valuable for our users and listeners.
Well, that too is an interesting angle on this, and that is once you've taken your text and put your text into a structured format. And by the way, there's one joker in the deck, and that is you can't just take text and put text into a database. In order to make text meaningful, you must put context in there because text is not anything without context. And so the databases that you create for text also have got to include context. Now, we've been doing this for a number of years, and I can tell you that 90% of the difficulty of text analytics is context, not text. Text has its idiosyncrasies, but at the end of the day, context is easily the most difficult part. But once you create your databases of text and context together, then what you find is you're able to take that data and marry it to and augment your structured data. And the opportunities for analytical processing, when you do that, open up to a world you've never seen. You know, a number of years ago, people started to talk about understanding the 360-degree view of the customer. And that's a wonderful idea. I support that idea. But the way they were trying to do it was to understand the customer by the sales that were being made. And the problem with sales being made is that's trying to catch the horses after they've gone out of the barn, that people have already made or not made the decision to purchase something when you measure sales. If you want to be effective in understanding the 360-degree view of the customer, you've got to understand what's going on in the customer's mind before they ever get to the point of making a purchase. And so I think one of the reasons, by the way, I think the 360-degree view of the customer is an absolutely tremendous idea. But the way that we tried to implement it in years past was disabled by the inability to understand what's going on in the mind of the customer prior to making the decision for sales. So those are some of the thoughts of the value of looking at text and text analytics.
So there's a question that came in from the audience about NLP and a suggestion that really is NLP really hard, and if it's so hard, what do we mean by why is it hard? So Bill Garov, how would you respond to that?
NLP is good for studying language, and if what you want to do is studying language, then listen, NLP is great for that. But if what you want to do is to use text for decision-making purposes, NLP is cumbersome. If you don't believe me, go to an organization that's tried to implement text analytics through NLP and ask them, how much did it cost? How long did it take? Did you have to hire data scientists? What results did you get? And what you're going to find is that it takes a long time and a lot of money and a lot of complexity to get anywhere with NLP. Because NLP is not a commercial implementation of what you need for textual analytics. Textual ETL is new, and it is a commercial implementation. It allows you to go to the text and understand and use the important parts of the text I'm not going to, the word immediate is a dangerous word because it's not immediate. Yes, some processing time is needed, but compared to the time that it takes to do it with NLP, it is immediate.
Yeah, I noticed like in my familiarity with what you've done. I mean, and Mark, you online, you make mention of word clouds and the like. That is taking sort of text and sort of displaying it in a frequency sort of way. But what Bill's really doing on textual ETL is he's really categorizing it and creating a taxonomy and mapping phrases to real objects. And that's really where the value comes in, not just in being able to read and count the data, but actually be able to map it to something and categorize it so that it actually could be queryable as a dimension. That was my experience with what I saw.
Yeah, and to add, I think the context to your point that you made earlier, Bill, matters a lot. So for the NLP that I've seen most recently in the industry around personalization, recommendations, right? Document processing, sentiment analysis, Bill, that you're bringing up, a lot of that requires context that's typically now also stored in that structured repository. And as you kick off some of these NLP specific pipelines, how do we bring that back for a usable now decision point? right? You gave an example of revenue, right? Or, revenue, depending on which group you're providing an NLP task for, can be very different, right? Whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's finance, the context of that word, right, has meaning based on different users. So I think bridging the outputs, right, and bridging that NLP pipeline and how it's run and how it's managed now with some of the structured history, right, and context that we have in the warehouse, I think that becomes a challenge, right, for many of the larger enterprises.
And like I said, Gaurav, when we started our path down textual analytics, the first thing we understood was you had to deal with context. And again, context is easily the most difficult part. However, when you take a look at our databases, every word that we encounter, every word that we think is important for analysis also has context. So we have a very direct relationship between context and text, and it's throughout everything that we produce. We don't divorce text and context. In fact, I don't know how you can do an effective job and divorce those two subjects.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great. Like I could see people already going after and looking at the book. It's on the chat right there. Again, it's www.forestrimtech.com/ebook. And you can learn all about it and just how it really is different from NLP for sure. And there it is on the screen. So Bill, what's next for what's next for textual analytics? How are you gonna improve the technology, and what are some ideas without giving away the store that you see that you can make what you've built even better?
Well, Dave, what we're doing now is taking text analytics to specific use cases. That it's not enough just to have a technology that can do it. You've also got to answer the question what business value there is in it. Now, I got to tell you, it's been kind of interesting because we've been doing this for a while, and talking to technicians is something that is very difficult to do. The people that really get it are the business people. Doctors understand the need for looking at 10,000 customers at the same time. Marketing people understand the need for understanding what's being said about the products and services. And so what we found is that it's not enough just to create a technology that's interesting and cool, that you've got to be able to address business cases. And so we are currently addressing several new interesting business cases, and I'd rather not go into the specifics, but we certainly can do medical records. We certainly can do sentiment analysis, but we are adding to the list of things that we can do.
And that's great. So just again, a plug to the book, and also I want to also invite you all to join us at the Semantic Layer Summit. That is on September 28th. So it's coming up here this month. Bill's going to be Bill's speaking again at the summit. So we have we'll be having a great discussion there about these types of topics. So I invite you to join us. Again, it's the Semantic Layer Summit. And I think you see there in the text, you can see the link there. So Gaurav, Bill, any closing statements before we let you guys go about textual analytics or Semantic Layer Summit?
Well, I'll tell you what it feels like to sit in the chair of Bill Inmon. It feels like sitting at the bottom end of an avalanche. That I work, and I enjoy doing this, but I work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there's so much going on, and it's going to get worse, not better. But if you've ever wondered what it's like to be at the bottom end of an avalanche come sit in my shoes someday.
Just keep your head above the snow, Bill. We don't we want you around for much longer.
So does my wife.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us again, Bill. You're always so gracious with your time, and you're doing some amazing things, and hopefully everybody will go check that out. Gaurav, thanks so much. Bill, thank you. And to everybody out there, stay data driven, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.